Alberta Government presents Driver's Guide to Operation, Safety, and Licensing, Cars and Light Trucks. Chapter 4, Intersections and Turns. Right of way. Where the roadways meet and intersect, there is the possibility for a collision. Who should proceed and who must wait? Right of way rules require one person to yield and allow the other to proceed. Signs, signals, and sometimes the position of your vehicle to other vehicles at an intersection determine the rules. However, even if you have the right of way, you are still responsible to do everything you can to prevent a collision. Intersections. An intersection is where two or more roadways meet, creating a possible conflict between vehicles on those roads and with pedestrians crossing the roadways. There are high-risk locations for collisions. Intersections may be controlled by traffic signs, traffic signal lights, or both. Intersections not controlled by signs or signals are controlled by rules and regulations. To drive safely through an intersection with or without controls, you must know the rules and regulations that determine who has the right of way. Always be careful. Other drivers may not be paying attention to the signs and signals, or may be unaware of the rules at intersections without signs or signals. Note: for information about traffic signs and signals, refer to Chapter 2. Directions given by a peace officer or police officer must be followed over traffic signs and signals. Intersections controlled by signs. Stop signs. A stop sign indicates that your vehicle must come to a complete stop. After stopping, check the intersection carefully for pedestrians and other traffic. Once safe, you may proceed. There are rules about where you must stop your vehicle when you come to a stop sign. Image description. A red octagon with the white lettering STOP and ID. Rules for stopping at intersections. Image description. A gray T symbolizing a road. There are two vehicles on the road, one of which is traveling right-bound. The other is stopped behind a stop line and beside a stop sign. And ID. Where a stop line has been marked, bring your vehicle to a complete stop before the stop line. Before moving forward, give pedestrians and traffic the right of way. Image description. A gray T symbolizing an intersection. Across one line of the intersection is a series of white lines symbolizing a crosswalk. Beside this crosswalk is a smaller white line symbolizing the stop line. And ID. Stop before the stop line at a marked crosswalk. Image description. A gray T symbolizing an intersection. Across one side of the intersection is a series of white lines symbolizing a crosswalk. There is a stop sign to the right of this vehicle, and ID. Where there is no stop line, stop before the marked crosswalk. Image description. A gray T symbolizing an intersection. On one road of the intersection, there is a white vehicle beside a stop sign. The vehicle is stopped within 3 meters of the other road on the intersection. And ID. If there is no stop line or marked crosswalk at the intersection, you must stop within 3 meters or 10 feet of the intersecting roadway. Stop where you will not interfere with pedestrians who are crossing or about to cross the roadway. 3- and 4-way stops. Intersections where stop signs are located at all corners are often referred to as courtesy corners. Vehicles approaching from each direction are required to stop. All drivers must use courtesy and caution. Courtesy is to allow the vehicle that arrived first to proceed first. If two vehicles arrive at the same time, courtesy allows the vehicle on the right to proceed first. You must not proceed unless you can do so safely. Yield signs. Image description. An upside-down triangle with a red border and white inside. And ID. A yield sign means that you must allow the other vehicles that do not face a yield sign the right of way to proceed. When approaching a yield sign, reduce speed as you near the intersection and be prepared to stop. You may be required to stop and yield the right of way to traffic or pedestrians. Wait for a safe gap in the traffic before you proceed. If there are no pedestrians or traffic that you are required to yield to, you may proceed through the intersection without coming to a complete stop. Your approach must be at a speed that allows you to stop easily to prevent a collision with another vehicle or person. Image description. A gray T symbolizing a T intersection. There are two vehicles, one of which is going straight through the intersection along the T. The other is stopped beside a yield sign and behind a stop line. End ID. Uncontrolled intersections. Some intersections have no traffic signs and no traffic signal lights. At these intersections, you must yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on your right. Check for traffic approaching from your left and right when you are approaching an intersection without a traffic control device. Similar to an intersection controlled by a stop sign, adjust your speed to the visibility and road conditions. Your view may be obstructed by fences, trees, or parked cars. You must reduce your speed enough to be able to stop your vehicle easily. When road conditions are slippery, reduce your speed to allow for the increased stopping distance. Use caution and judgment at all intersections without signs or signals. Even if you have the right of way, be sure the other vehicle is going to yield to you before you proceed. Image description. A gray cross symbolizing an intersection. Car A is going from the base of the intersection to the top. However, it does not cross the line of car B, which is going from the right to the left, through the intersection. End ID. A yields to B. This intersection has no signs or signals, and B is to the right of A. Image description. A gray cross symbolizing an intersection. Car A is going up from the base and turning left. Car B is going straight down. End ID. A yields to B. A would be crossing B's path, and neither is to the right of the other. The T intersection without signs or signals, also known as an uncontrolled intersection, is a unique situation. There are no traffic control signs or signals, therefore the driver on the right, vehicle B, has the right of way. Be careful in this situation in case the driver going straight through, vehicle A, incorrectly assumes the right of way. In reality, the person on the road that goes straight through is the one who has the right of way, and the vehicle that must turn, either right or left, must yield. Also note that at certain uncontrolled intersections, especially when turning from a gravel road onto a paved road, vehicles on the major road almost always go through, and the vehicles on the lesser roads must yield. Image description. A gray T symbolizing a road. Car A is on the left, going to the right, straight through the intersection. Car B is turning from the base either left or right. End ID. A yields to B. This intersection has no signs or signals, and B is to the right of A. For safety, drivers in the position of vehicle B must wait until the right of way is given before proceeding, because vehicle A is on a straight road going straight through, whereas vehicle B must turn. When exiting from service roads, alleys, parking lots, and driveways, you must stop before any sidewalk crossing, stop before entering a main street, yield to pedestrians. Intersection reminders. A driver turning left across the path of an approaching vehicle cannot turn left until it is safe. Parking lots have intersections without signs or signals, and the right-of-way rules apply. All intersections have crosswalks that may be marked or unmarked, and you must not pass another vehicle that has stopped for a pedestrian. Keep intersections clear. Do not enter an intersection until you are able to clear it completely. If traffic is delayed at an intersection, do not enter the intersection until you can completely clear the intersection and crosswalk on the other side. Image description. A gray cross signifying an intersection. All cars are going from left to right. Car A is before the intersection. Car B is over the crosswalk. Cars D and C are before the second crosswalk. Cars F and E are on the road on the other side properly. Cars D and C are labeled poor judgment. End ID. Vehicle A is in the proper location. Vehicle B has blocked the crosswalk. Vehicles C and D have used poor judgment and have had to stop in the intersection. Cross traffic has been affected. Ensure that there is enough space to allow your vehicle to completely clear the intersection and crosswalks before entering. Traffic circles and roundabouts. Traffic circles and roundabouts are circular intersections designed to improve traffic flow and safety. Traffic always circulates in a counterclockwise direction around a center island. Vehicles entering the intersection must yield to traffic already in the circle. There are differences between traffic circles and roundabouts. The center island of a roundabout is smaller than the center island of a traffic circle. The roundabout has been designed with a tighter curve around the island to encourage lower speeds and may have a sloped curb to allow more room for larger commercial vehicles. Pedestrian crossings on roundabouts are located away from the intersection for safety, as well as improved lines of sight for motorists and pedestrians. Drivers must follow similar rules when using roundabouts or traffic circles. One-lane traffic circle or roundabout. Image description. A top-down view of a traffic circle or roundabout. In the center is a green circle. Around this circle, and going in all four directions, is gray, signifying roads, and ID, an example of a single-lane circular intersection. Entering circular intersections. Drivers entering a one-lane circular intersection must yield to drivers already in the circle. Once in the circle, drivers must activate the right signal when preparing to exit. Exiting circular intersections. Always wait to activate your right turn signal after passing the exit that is before your intended exit. This tells other drivers that you intend to leave the circle at the next exit. When you intend to exit at the first available exit, use your right signal as you approach. Leave it on until you have exited the circle. As you approach, scan for pedestrians and cyclists at the crosswalks at the entrance and exits of the circle. When you intend to use at any other exit, as you approach, scan for pedestrians and cyclists at the crosswalks at the entrance and exits of the circle. Activate your right signal when approaching the exit you wish to use. Two-lane traffic circle or roundabout. Entering a circular intersection. Drivers entering the circular intersection must yield to drivers already in the circle. Once in the circle, drivers must activate the right signal when preparing to exit. Using the right lane to enter and exit. Drivers entering the circle from the right lane must do so when it is safe and stay in the right lane while in the circle. They must exit using the right lane. Using the left lane to enter and exit. Drivers using the left lane to enter the circle must do so when it is safe and stay in the left lane while in the circle or roundabout. They must exit using the left lane. Drivers planning to travel past the first exit should use the left lane to enter and exit. Typically, it is the first two exits that can be taken with the right lane, and the last two exits are used by the inside or left lane. In circular intersections, while in the circle, the driver on the right must yield to the driver on the left. Activate the right signal when preparing to exit. Use caution when exiting and crossing through the right or outside lane. Do not change lanes in the circle. Traffic in the red lanes, white arrows, must yield to traffic in the yellow lanes, black arrows. Traffic entering the circle, gray lanes, must yield to traffic in the circle, colored lanes. Image description. A top-down view of a roundabout or traffic circle. There is a green circle in the center. Surrounding it is a yellow circle with black arrows going counterclockwise and lines going off in the counterclockwise direction. Outside of that yellow circle is a red circle broken up by the yellow exit lines. The red lines have white arrows. There are three vehicles. Vehicle A is in the red line and going through the circle counterclockwise. Vehicle B is in the inner lane right before Vehicle A. Vehicle C is just to the right of Vehicle B and in the red lane. Vehicles B and C have not entered the traffic circle yet and are therefore in a gray lane. Vehicles B and C must yield to Vehicle A. End image description. Image description. A top-down view of a roundabout or traffic circle. In the center is a green circle. Surrounding is a yellow lane, and surrounding that is a series of red lanes. In the center, there is Vehicle D in the yellow lane going counterclockwise. In front of Vehicle D, about to enter the intersection in a gray lane, is Vehicle F and Vehicle E. Vehicle E must yield to Vehicle D. Vehicle D is already in the circle, while vehicles F and D may proceed together. Vehicle D is inside the circle, and Vehicle F is going in the other lane. End image description. Image description. A top-down view of a roundabout, with a green circle in the inside, surrounded by a yellow circle going counterclockwise and a series of broken red lines in the form of a circle. There are vehicles H and G. Vehicle G is in the inside lane. Vehicle H is in the outside red lane. Vehicle H must yield to Vehicle G. End image description. Exiting circular intersections. Always wait to activate your right turn signal after passing the exit that is before your intended exit. This tells other drivers that you intend to leave the circle at the next exit. When you intend to use at the first available exit, approach the circle using the right lane. Use your right signal as you approach. Leave it on until you have exited the circle. As you approach, scan for pedestrians and cyclists at the crosswalks at the entrance and exits of the circle. Yield to traffic in the circle. Exit the circle using the right lane. When you intend to leave at any other exit, approach the circle using the left lane. Activate your left turn signal to communicate that you do not plan to use the first exit. As you approach, scan for pedestrians and cyclists at the crosswalks at the entrance and exits of the circle. Yield to traffic in the circle. Exit the circle using the left lane. Signal right to leave the circle. Remember, when you exit using the left lane, use your right signal when you pass the exit that is the one before the exit you will use. Or, use your right signal when you pass the exit right before yours. Check for traffic in the right lane that may be continuing around the circle. Look ahead for pedestrians at the crosswalk where you will be exiting. Exit the circle using the left lane. If you cannot stop or exit safely, stay in your lane and travel around the circle or roundabout again. Turning. Many collisions are caused by drivers who fail to turn safely. Right turns. Remember that travel lanes are not always marked with the lines on the road or signs. A travel lane is a section of roadway wide enough to allow the passage of a single line of vehicles. This includes a curb lane lined with parking meters. The lane next to the curb where vehicles park is best referred to as a curb lane, not a parking lane. Curb lanes are not just for parking. They are used to turn off a road and onto a road. Prepare for a turn well in advance. If you are not in the proper turning lane, check your rear view mirror and outside mirrors and do a shoulder check. Signal and change lanes when it is safe. You should be in your proper turning lane at least 15 meters or 50 feet before the intersection. Be sure you yield the right of way to pedestrians and traffic on the cross street. Before you begin to turn, check the street you are turning onto to decide if there is room to turn into the curb lane. Check over your right shoulder for cyclists and pedestrians approaching the intersections. When turning right from a two-way road onto another two-way road, stay centered in your turning lane and no more than 1 meter or 3 feet from the curb or edge of the road. Stay approximately this distance as you approach the intersection, while turning, and as you leave the intersection. Remember the following when turning. Yield to pedestrians crossing in the crosswalk. Do not enter the crosswalk to turn until pedestrians are safely out of the intersection. Image description. A gray cross symbolizing an intersection. Going left to right, the roads have stop signs on either side. On the bottom road is a blue car labeled parked vehicle. In the lane to the left of that is a red car. The red car switches into the right lane, then turns right, and continues driving. And ID. If it is safe, complete your turn by turning into the first available traffic lane on the right when there is space to allow you to gently accelerate and change lanes. After you complete the turn, look well ahead along your path. Image description. A gray T with one road going straight up and down and one road branching off to the right. There is a red car in the right lane at the base. The car goes up, turns right, continues right. Then it changes to the left lane and continues. It changes to the left lane because there is a blue car labeled parked vehicle and ID. If a parked vehicle or obstruction is far enough away, complete the turn in the lane behind the vehicle or obstruction, then change lanes to the left when safe. It is recommended for this type of turn that the curb lane be clear of parked vehicles for at least 1/2 a block. Image description. A gray cross symbolizing an intersection. There is a red car in the right lane at the base. The car goes up, turns right into the second lane, the left lane, and proceeds. Below this, in the rightmost lane of the right branch of road, is a blue vehicle marked parked vehicle and ID. If the first available lane of the street you are turning onto has a parked vehicle or obstruction close to the corner, turn into the first available lane to the left of the parked vehicle. When the lane is free, turn directly into that lane. Note: yield to other vehicles approaching from your left that are traveling in the lane you will enter. Do not turn wide and occupy two lanes when turning. Unless prohibited by a sign, you may turn right on a red light after you come to a complete stop at the proper stopping point, stop line, or crosswalk. Left turns. Poor judgment of time and space when turning left is one of the leading causes of crashes. Left turns can be dangerous because there can be traffic approaching from more than one direction, and your vehicle will be crossing the lanes of the oncoming traffic. Prepare well in advance. You should be in your proper turning lane at least 15 meters or 50 feet before the intersection. When turning from a two-way road onto another two-way road with a single left turn lane, drive into the lane to the right side of the yellow line. Remain behind the crosswalk if there is only room for one vehicle ahead of you in your lane in the intersection. Enter the intersection if it is legal to do so when the vehicle ahead of you clears the intersection. If you must stop in the intersection prior to completing a left turn, stay to the right of the yellow line and keep your front wheels pointed straight ahead. This will prevent you from being pushed into oncoming traffic if you are hit from behind. Check the crosswalk of the road you are turning onto for pedestrians and cyclists. Look well along your intended path. When it is safe, turn the vehicle left at the intersection. Complete the turn by driving to the right side of the yellow line of the road you have entered. Do not turn wide and occupy two lanes when turning. Before turning left off a two-lane highway, do a shoulder check to the left to be sure you are not being passed by another vehicle on your left. Image description: a gray cross symbolizing an intersection. There's a car from the base in the left lane that turns up and left to the left lane of the left branching road. There is a vehicle from the top in its left lane that is turning to its left. However, there is another car in the intersection that is going straight that must go through before the turning car can proceed. End ID: two-way onto a two-way. When it is safe and legal, turn from the lane nearest and to the right of the yellow line. Turn into the lane nearest and to the right of the yellow line. Be sure you have enough time and space to turn safely if there is oncoming traffic. Yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians crossing to your left. Image description: a gray cross symbolizing an intersection. The roads going up and down are a two-way road. The roads going from left to right are a one-way road going left. There is a vehicle in the branch at the base. This vehicle is stopped before the stop line. There is an arrow pointing it turning to the left and entering the leftmost lane of the road. End ID: two-way onto a one-way. When it is safe and legal, turn from the lane nearest the yellow line. Turn into the first available lane on the left side of the road. Yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians crossing to your left. Image description: a gray cross symbolizing an intersection. The road going up and down is a one-way road going from the bottom to the top of the image. The roads going from left to right are two-way roads. A vehicle is in the leftmost lane at the bottom branch of the cross. This vehicle goes up and turns left into the leftmost lane to the right of the yellow line. End ID: one-way onto a two-way. When it is safe and legal, turn from the lane nearest the left side of the road. Turn into the nearest lane to the right of the yellow line. Yield to pedestrians on your left. Image description: a cross symbolizing a road. The road going up and down goes from the base to the top and is one way. The road going from side to side goes from the right to the left and is a one-way. There is a vehicle in the leftmost lane in the bottom road. They are stopped before a stop line. There is an arrow pointing them turning to the left, thus entering the leftmost lane of the one-way going to the left. End ID: one-way onto a one-way. When it is safe and legal, turn from the lane nearest the left side of the road. Turn into the next lane nearest the left side of the road. Yield to pedestrians crossing to your left. When the light is red, if there are no signs prohibiting the turn, you may turn left on a red light from a one-way to a one-way after you come to a complete stop at the proper stopping location, a stop line or a crosswalk, and if it is safe. This also applies to dual lane turns. Yield to pedestrians crossing to your left. Turning lanes. Some lanes are designated as turning lanes. As you approach an intersection, always check the signs and pavement markings. Make sure you are in the correct lane to turn or go straight ahead. Dual lane turns. When turning left or right where dual lane turns are indicated by pavement markings or signs, approach the intersection in one of the marked lanes and turn into the corresponding lane. Image description. A gray cross symbolizing an intersection. There are two vehicles at the base that turn up and turn to the left. In the center lane from the base, one of the cars also goes straight. To the right of them, there is a sign indicating that dual lane turns are permitted. End ID. Dual lane turns. Dual lane turns can only be made where indicated. Never swing wide or change lanes in dual lane turn intersections as another vehicle could be turning beside you. Watch the vehicle turning beside you as it may swing wide into your lane. Unless prohibited by a sign, at a dual right turn intersection, you may turn right on a red light after you come to a complete stop at the proper stopping point, the stop line or the crosswalk. After completing a turn, dual turn lanes may converge into one lane. The driver in the lane that ends must change to the available lane by following the proper steps for a lane change. Two-way left turn lanes. A two-way left turn lane allows vehicles from each direction to turn left using the same lane. Vehicles from both directions share this center lane to turn left. It is permissible to cross the solid yellow line to enter the shared lane. Only enter the turning lane close to where you will be turning. Watch for oncoming vehicles in your lane. These lanes are sometimes called suicide lanes. Image description. A gray T symbolizing an intersection with three lanes going from left to right. In the center, there is a solid yellow line on the outside of the center lane, with a dotted yellow line on the inside of that center lane. On the left, there is a blue vehicle that is in the center lane, turning left. On the right, there is another blue vehicle in the center lane, turning left. They are going opposite directions. End ID. Two-way left turn lane. Reminders for safe turning. Check for traffic, do a shoulder check, signal, and when safe, move to the proper lane. Signal with enough time to provide a reasonable warning to other drivers and pedestrians of your intention. Check oncoming and cross traffic as well as the crosswalk to your left for pedestrians. Watch for both vehicles and pedestrian traffic. U-turns. A U-turn is done by turning your vehicle around at an intersection to go in the opposite direction by using oncoming lanes. Image description. A white square. On the inside is an arrow pointing up, turning to the left, and again to the left, and ending pointing down. It is in the shape of an upside-down U. Over top of this arrow is a red circle with a line through it, meaning no. And ID. This sign means U-turns are not allowed. Do not do a U-turn unless you can do it safely. U-turns are not permitted at an intersection controlled by a traffic control signal, traffic lights, unless permitted by a traffic control device, where a sign prohibits U-turns. In urban areas, U-turns are not permitted, on a roadway between intersections, at an alley intersection, at an intersection where one or more of the roadways is an access to a public or private parking lot which the public can access. Outside urban areas or in rural areas, U-turns are not permitted on a curve, approach to, or near the crest of a hill, where the driver of another vehicle cannot see you that is approaching within 150 meters from either direction. This ends Chapter 4 of the Alberta Driver's Guide.